Welcome to part 2 of Competency 11. In this video, we will work with numeric values of transformations. Number 1, given triangle XYZ with coordinates x is -2, 5, y is -5, 1, and z is -1, 1. What will be the coordinates of triangle x prime, y prime, z prime after the translation? Okay, now they're saying that we are translating from the x is going to be added. We're going to add 8 onto the x, but subtract 3 from the y. Well, that's a calculator thing. Don't do it in your head like I've warned in other videos. Yes, I know that you can. Sure, we can. But you're trying to pass a test, so accuracy is paramount, okay? All right, let's start with -2 plus the 8. We should get a 6. So I'm thinking C is what we need, okay? Well, let's do, remember, I'm starting, actually, I should have said that right off. We're starting here with X naturally, okay? All right, so we have 5 and then subtract the 3. That's 2. That checks out. Okay, so I'm thinking C's it because everything else doesn't look. They're different enough other than the negatives and positives per se that I think that we can say C. But let's keep going. We have -5 and then we need to add 8. So we should have 3 next. Yes, so X checked out. We're checking to see if Y is okay. So now let's see. We have 1, and then we subtract 3 from that. I'm looking at our Y here. And yes, that all checks out. So looks like it's all going to work. I'm going to go ahead and circle that. But let's do Z just for safety's sake, okay? -1, and then plus the 8. And that gives us 7. Yes, absolutely. That is correct. So then we have 1, and we subtract the 3. And of course, that gives us -2. So C is verified. It doesn't hurt to quickly pump the numbers in and check them, okay? All right, let's look at number 2. The vertices of a quadrilateral are 1, 6, 3, 4, 6, 5, 5, 8. If the quadrilateral is reflected over the x-axis, what would be the coordinates of the reflected quadrilateral? Okay, when we are going over the x-axis, you need to remember that it is the x values that stay the same. This implies that our y values, y's actually, they become negative. So all of our y values are going to be negative. That's a little shorthand that I put up to remind myself. Okay. All right. So that being said, let's see what we are looking at. That means we need 1, 2, 6, and 5 for our x values to stay the same. Well, that gets rid of B, and that gets rid of D. So let's check A and C. Oops. This does not stay the same. So for the second point, 3 should be the same. And look, C changes. And then this is okay, but also the -5 changes. So that's not okay. So mark that out. And let's double check that all of our y negatives and y values become negative. Okay, and I'm saying negative because if you haven't noticed, all of these coordinate points that we're talking about for this shape, they're all in Q1. They're all in quadrant 1. So when we reflect over the x-axis, naturally it would be y becoming negative. Okay, so negative, negative, -4, -5, -8, all correct values. Okay, so that gives us option A. All right, well, things look like they're going to change just a little here. Let's look at what number 3 says. Using the information from number 2, okay, what will be the coordinates of the reflected quadrilateral if the coordinate is reflected over the y-axis? Okay, we can use kind of what I said from above. We're using the same values in quadrant 1 that I have highlighted in yellow, but it will be the y values that stay the same. And that means our x values, they will become negative. Okay, so that means we need to look at 1, 3, 6, and 5, and they should all be negative. Well, it kind of turns the tables here. This means A is not going to be a good option, and C will not be a good option. But now we need to check each of those x values, okay? So I'm looking at B. We have -1, -3, -6, -8. I like that. Let's look at D. Well, I have -1, -3. Oh, this one and this one, the 6 and 5, fail. So I'm going to mark that out. But you need to also check and make sure that the y values remain the same because they could try to trip you up and make you think, oh, well, I've checked X. Well, I'm just going to ignore Y and move on. And they could be very close. So be very careful with this. So we have 6, 4, 5, and 8 all check. Okay. All right. And notice again, for these, it's more about the properties. Yes, we might add, subtract, those things, but this is more about do you understand the properties? Okay. All right. So let's go on to number 4. Number 4, using the information from number 3 above, what will be the coordinates of the midpoint of the reflection of the side containing 1, 6, and 3, 4? Okay. Well, first you need to jot down or remember what you did from number 3. So our result was when after we reflected, we had -1 and 6, and then 3, 4, it would become -3 and 4. Remember, we were going about the x-axis, the y-axis, and that's why the y stayed the same and the x's changed. Okay, because we're going from quadrant 1 to quadrant 2, right? So for us, we could do this numerically, okay? So let's do this numerically first, okay? So what are we really doing? Let's talk about x first, okay? So we have 1, no, sorry. That would be -1. Notice we have -1, and we were talking about where it changed, reflected. -1 plus a -3. Well, that's actually -3, but let me do it this way. -3. We're adding the values together, and then we divide by 2. Okay, what does that get us? -2. So that would eliminate A and C. Okay, so now let's look at y. Well, we add the y's together and divide by 2. Okay, all right, so we're going to add them together. So that is 4 plus 6 and divide by 2. All right, so that gets us 5. So that is D verified. Now, there's another way to do it by using the grid below you, okay? For number 6, we're not going to read 6 yet. We're just going to borrow the graph. Okay, so I had -1, 6. That's the first dot, and then, or point. And then we had -3 and 4. Now, if we draw between that, okay, we draw the line. What's halfway? Well, look, that's -2 and 5. So that verifies option D. Now remember, when you take the real test, you will have some kind of either a laminated grid or some kind of scratch paper that you could use. When I took the real test, I had a grid, both of my tests. I had some kind of grid to write on very quickly so I could get that. Okay. And Well, you need to do it quickly, and you're only going to see one question at a time. When we're practicing, we can see multiple questions, okay? All right, and that's not going to help us during the real test. So we have to learn how to do them quickly and see them very quickly. I'll get rid of this so we can deal with number 6. Okay, let me go up so we can see what we're working with here. Okay, what are the coordinates of pentagon? A prime, B prime, C prime, D prime, E prime. When the pentagon ABCDE in the graph below is rotated 90 degrees counterclockwise about the origin, okay? This is the same image we had before, but that's image we were reflecting. Now we're rotating counterclockwise 90 degrees. Well, that's not going to be really tough to do if you think about it, okay? What we need to do is I'm going to look at A, okay? And A, we know is at 4, -1. Now, I'm going to draw, pretend like I can draw. That's a big stretch, okay? Here, I'm going to change colors for us. We said about the origin, right? So if I go here, then this move would be 90 degrees, okay? Now that's just something that you've got to get used to doing. So you're going to need to practice it before you go take the test. Now, what does that make A for me? In this situation, A becomes 1 and 4. So this tells me that everything that is in quadrant 4 is going to move to quadrant 1. The values themselves, let's say absolute values, will flip places. So everything we take the absolute value of all the numbers and switch their positions, okay? So this means we're looking for all positive situations where everything has flipped around. And I'm looking at C. I think C will work. Well, let's double check it. Well, we have 1, 4. Yep, I'll buy that. And then let's see B. B needs to be 4 and 1. Check. So this one checks and this one checks. Let's look at C. C needs to become 7, then 2. Is that what we have? Yes, we do. And then D needs to become 7 and 6. Yes, that works. And E needs to become 4, then 7. Yep, that verifies option C. Just a basic 90-degree rotation. And notice I didn't use my calculator. It's just properties that we have to learn, and we have to be able to quickly understand. What I did is I just rotated one point, which wasn't difficult to do. And then once I saw what happened to the numbers, the change, I just applied that change to all the other numbers. Okay. All right. So this is the last question in this particular video. Thank you for watching all the way to the end and listening to everything I said. I hope I helped you. Congratulations to our people who have just passed the test. Kudos to you. And the rest of you are going to take your test. I wish you all happy testing.